testing. Uh, can everyone? So, MITM Club is based on 6 core pillars. Okay, and these pillars actually first developed back when I was still a teenager, and I've been refining them for the better part of the last 15 years in order for me to be able to better show up not only just for myself, so I can be more, so I can have more, but also so I can give back more to those around me. Okay, really leaning into that idea of being a cup that's overflowing. All right. So these are the 6 pillars. The first is the self. Because if you don't focus on actually building out yourself, you can't have more to be more and do more to other people. So you want to make sure that you build up that pillar of self. The next pillar is fitness, because your true wealth is your health. If you're not healthy, if I gave you $1 million today and said you're gonna die in the next hour, you probably wouldn't want that $1 million. You want to be able to have this one vessel, this one vehicle that you have for life, actually being able to serve you for your lifetime. So fitness is the next pillar. Finance, okay, which is one of the things we're focused on today with finance, because you want to be able to. I like to say that having a good sum of money, or having a good amount of money put aside, is kind of like it's akin to being able to buy the freedom that you want, right? Some people don't like to think of it like that, but realistically, being able to do what you want, when you want, with who you want, is that freedom. And either having more influence or having more funds will give you that. Okay, so finance is another pillar. Then we have family, the thing that everything else, like, with no family, with no future, with no heirs, with no people you're putting things together to be able to serve in the future, um, you really start to lose out on really what are we here on this planet for, right? So family is the next pillar. Then education. The more we put into our minds, okay, the one asset no one can ever take from you is your wisdom and your education. And then fun. Like, fun is so important. So many people forget about actually having fun. This is why we throw rooftop comedy shows. This is why we throw underground raves. This is why there's lots of events that we're tapped into that we do to make sure that we're still having fun and enjoying life. Okay, and that is the 6 pillars. I did mention that today we're going to be focusing on the pillar of finance, but in future webinars, we are actually going to go into and talk about aspects of each of the other pillars so that you can have more, to do more, and to be more for your commute, for yourself and your community. All right. So here are a couple quick finance facts that a lot of people don't necessarily know. One of them is that 2 out of 5 Canadians believe they'll never be debt free. Okay. Another finance fact is, on average, Canadians are spending $1.70 for every dollar that they're making. And with the way the market is going right now, with Facebook groups talking about how to best dumpster dive for food right now, I can imagine that it's higher than that at this point, right? 32% of Canadians have nothing saved for retirement. I'm so curious to know how many folks here are actually thinking about their retirement already. I know everyone's here is probably 40-ish and below, and most people watching this will probably be between 25 to 35. How many of you are actually thinking about your retirement? And when we talk about retirement, we're not talking about I'm 65 and I'm done working and I'm tired of being at a job or whatever. It's, when do you want to stop having to work? When do you want to have the choice to say, I'm going into work today, or I'm not going to work ever again? That is what the new retirement is. It's having the choice to say, I don't work anymore because I have to. I work because I want to, and it gives me more life. It gives me more purpose. All right. Another point is, on average, it costs $16,500 per year, which in the last webinar, someone told me it's actually 17,000 per year now to raise a child in Canada. And when you look at that from 0 to 18, that's about 320,000. Okay, that's more. That's close to $500,000 to raise a child in Canada. And it's more expensive when it's a girl, because then you have to consider the pink tax, because women have their own needs and that is more money. And one of the top 3 reasons for divorce is financial stress. So a lot of Canadians are actually struggling, and a lot of folks are having a very hard time when it comes to managing and mastering their money, right? This is why we have the Money Mastery Dash to help you master your cash. Um, but 90% of people think managing their money is an unscalable mountain, so they just give up on managing it. Okay. Some folks say, what's the point of trying to invest? Some folks say, hey, I'm going to pass off to someone else. I don't want to think about it. I don't want to look about it. I don't want to anything. Just let the other person deal with it, right? Some folks say, because I have my RSP or my 401k match or whatever, I just let my work think about that. It's out of my hands. And this is why, and I'll show you guys some statistics in a little bit. This is why so many people are failing when it comes to the finances. They don't pay attention to it. But 10% of people actually focus. Okay. And you see focus has a bunch of periods in between each letter because this focus stands for follow one course until successful. So, only 10% of people actually focus like a laser to get to what they want. There's an amazing quote by Tony Robbins that I really like. And, he talks about it more so when it comes to emotional intelligence. He says, energy flows where focus goes, right? And that's just all. He ends it off at that. He says, if you're in an emotional state, like you can't be angry and grateful at the same time. So if you shift your focus to being grateful, you can't be angry. Your energy is gonna flow into being grateful and feeling good, right? But I shifted it a bit. I say energy flows where your focus goes, and that will make your money grow. Because when you if your mind's on your money and money's on your mind, you're gonna know where that money is going. You're gonna know how to make sure that it's working on your behalf. And one key tip that I want you all to start really taking into consideration, really starting to think about, is that your money should be working harder than you do. Okay. One of the lessons in The Richest Man in Babylon actually said that money it's your slave, right? I know it's crazy to use those terms, but your money is like a slave and it's supposed to go forth and multiply on your behalf. So that while you're sleeping, your money's working. So while you're eating, your money's working. So while you're hanging out with other people or doing whatever you're doing, living your life, living your best life, your money's working for you. And if you know where it's going and you're focused on how it is flowing, you will see that it will start to grow. Okay. And today, we're going to be going a little bit deeper into that. So 90% of folks actually feel like their money is an unscalable mountain. So the question now becomes, how do we turn mountains into molehills? And I like mountains into molehills, that it's also an MITM acronym, turning mountains into molehills. And the idea with that is, how do we take something that feels unscalable, that feels insurmountable, and turn it into something that we step over without really noticing that we're even stepping over it? That's ideally what the whole purpose of these webinars are for. And I hope that you guys do join future webinars. They're going to be free webinars because I'm giving away all of the secrets with doing these, what I've been teaching for the better part of 4 years. Now I'm giving them away for free now, okay, to make sure that you can turn mountains into molehills in your lives. And the key framework that we're going to be using is the roadmap, okay? I've been using roadmaps in every aspect of my life for 15 years now. And every time I sit down and make a roadmap, it makes my life so much easier. It turns a daunting task from that mountain into a molehill. It breaks it up into these steps that I barely even noticed that I achieved the goal. And I want you guys to all have the same experience and better experiences because I had to make the roadmaps from scratch. I'm going to give you the roadmaps. I'm going to give you everything that I had to learn, that I had to struggle through, that I had to go into $70,000 of debt to learn the hard way about, so that you guys don't end up in those same situations and you can make so much more money and create so much more wealth and be living in a way that serves you and your community. Okay. Now, we're going to go back to what Paul was telling me. He did say, the road to riches is extremely simple. Okay. And first, you want to look at where you came from. So that's where we're going to start off today's webinar. Where did you come from? And there's a couple key things we're going to consider when looking at where did you come from. The first thing that we're going to consider is your past. Well, I mean, that is where you came from, but we're going to look at your past. And with your past, I want you to think about your family. Okay. I'm going to ask a couple questions here, and feel free to drop your comments in the chat. I want to see, I want to hear from you guys. I want to know what your thoughts are. But the first thing is the past. Okay. Where did you come from? What do your family situations look like? What was your family spending habits? How did when money came into your house, how was it spent? Another question is, uh, what's your family's financial status? Okay. Another one is, what's your relationship to money? Do you feel good about it? Do you feel bad about it? Hmm? What about how does your family talk about money? Is it something that we don't talk about? I know that they say there's certain topics you're not supposed to have. You're not supposed to speak about in polite company. I think it's money, politics, and religion. And it's so crazy. I always thought it was so ridiculous that that's even a saying because those are the things that shift our world. Those are the things that change our entire world. Okay? And we should be talking about them. So I want you to think about how did your family talk about it, right? Did they talk about it at all? Was it shush shush quiet? Like, you know? Afterwards, I want you to start thinking about yourself personally. Okay. What have you done in the past with your money? And I love to ask my students this. I actually want to see I want to see I have the chat here open real quick, but I ask my students this. When money comes into your life, do you keep it, do you spend it, or do you give it away? So I would love to know, either you can unmute yourself and just, tell me verbally, or you can drop it down in the chat. When money comes into your life, do you keep it, do you spend it, or do you give it away? Here we have, I always give it away. Isaac, when money comes into your life, you spend half of it. That's what's up. Normally spend it and give it away. Okay, okay, interesting. I would, you know what, when I was younger, I remember grade 9, crazy. I just came back from British Columbia. I got sent out there for being a bad kid. My uncle knocked some sense into me, had me working on these farms, and I made a bunch of cash. And when I came back, um, I had a lot of money at that time. Like, ooh, I got like $800 in my pocket. This is crazy. I never had this much money. I thought I was rich. And I bought pizza for lunch for all my friends because now I'm rich. I'm balling. I gave my money away. I spent it in a way I gave it away. Right? It's like, is it serving me? Does that help it, like me become a millionaire? Not necessarily. I mean, it made some great memories. Um, Definitely learned from that, you know? Okay, the next question that we do have that we're gonna look at, and thank you guys so much for sharing. I really appreciate all y'all. What are things that you buy just for the sake of having? I want you to think about things that you buy just for the sake of having, like those impulse buys, right? Oh, I was taught money is the root of all evil. And you know what's so interesting with that? That's it's a biblical quote, but it's not the whole quote. The whole quote is for the love of money alone is the root of all evil. If you only love money, like it's fine to love money because it's just a tool to be able to give back to more people. That's why I keep mentioning that to things you can have more to do more, be more to do more for those around you. I say money is better in my hand because I serve people with it. The more money that comes to me, the better I serve other people and I'm able to serve other folks. So yeah, the whole quote is for the love of money alone is the root of all evil. So thanks for sharing that in the chat. But I want to know, what are some things you buy just for the sake of having? Do you like collectible items? Do you, I know for me, I call them money pits. Okay. And one of my money pits is technology. Like if you could see this room, there's a bunch of tech all around. I love buying tech. I try to get things that are useful, but sometimes it's like it's a guilty pleasure, and something that I've had to curb instead of buying the new shiny object, new piece of technology. But what are some of y'all? I see fast food in the chat. Uh, we have clothes. Okay, that's what's up. Isaac, any ideas? What are some things that you buy for the sake of having? Shoes and hats? A lot of people. You'd be so surprised. I even talking to some of my students, they're spending all $200, $300 on shoes, and I'm like, guys, you know how much like the Nike stock that you could have bought with those shoes would be, and how much stock you need to get so you can start getting free shoes, like or free clothes from those clothes people you're buying that merch from. It's wild. A lot of people. Rochelle, are you in the right? place. I know I heard about story time earlier, but if you're actually here, I'd love to hear from you in the chat too. Um, okay, let's hop into the next one. All right. And the more we explore past, the more, oh, sorry, that was money pits. And so what money pits are, what I call them, is things that suck money out of your pocket on an ongoing basis. Money pits can be something like smoking. Like I know so many people that chain smoke. And he said, we have money pits, you have wife in the chat. That's absolutely hilarious. It can be, it definitely can be. Um, things that you're losing out, like I was saying, smoking. Like some people, they don't even do the calculation. If it's like $20 for a pack of cigarettes, and you're smoking like let's say three in a week, that's 60 a week times 52. That is $3,120 for the year. That's gone. It's a money pit. Because that could be that's a pain. You could buy a car with that, right? I mentioned buying tech. I mentioned Jordans earlier. We talked about buying shoes and clothes. Coping mechanisms. So many folks have coping mechanisms, and we're gonna go a little bit deeper into that in a moment. Um, but yeah, things to provide like subscriptions, right? How many of us have subscriptions that we forgot about, that we're just paying for on an ongoing basis? We completely forgot about. It's a money pit. It's draining money out of your pocket. Yeah, let's take money away from you. And you deserve to keep as much of your money as possible. So now we did talk a little bit about the past, and let's go and continue. I'm gonna consult Paul again because after this, Paul's like, okay, cool. Yeah, you looked at your past. Okay, now you know where you came from. So we knew a bit of where we came from. We explored a little bit of our families, and we're going to touch on that again in a moment. We touched a little about where we were, what we were doing in the past. Hopefully, from this point forward, we shift. But let's look at where we are now. And I do want to go a little bit deeper into the spending types and spending styles. And there's a couple different spending styles that exist. Okay. And we're going to go through them one at a time. The first one is abundant spending. Okay. Now this money is spent from the abundance zone. There's actually a scale that we use to give people a grade when it comes to um, what their spending styles are. This is something we do a little bit more in depth in the not the Money Mastery Dash course, but the actual financial literacy course. These are snippets from the financial literacy course. So I'm giving you guys a sneak peek of what we actually do in the financial literacy course in these webinars. So make sure you keep tapping in to get the knowledge and lessons for free, okay? But that aside, when you're in the abundant spending zone, you feel good about the price, okay? You feel good emotionally. You feel good about the item you're paying for, okay? It's an action taken from the abundant and positive feelings and thoughts. You feel good overall. And what I like to say is, I don't know if y'all know like the money guns, where you shoot money all over the place. You're abundant. You're feeling great. You're living it up. You're serving the people around you, and it can be extremely positive. Okay. Now, ideally, you're not spending abundantly when you don't have money, but the mentality that is in this zone does something that will make you magnetic to money. Okay. I know that is it Reverend Ike? Reverend Ike talks about uh money is like a lover, and it doesn't want you to chase it, it wants you to attract it. And if you're in an abundant mindset, you're able to attract more wealth and attract money to you. You'll start to see money coming to you from different places. And I would love to help as many folks get into the abundant zone as possible. Okay. But keep note of the abundant zone. We're going to talk about the next spending styles, and it'll come full circle in a moment. Now, the next one that we have is neutral spending. Okay. Now, this money is spent from a neutral zone on the abundance scale. Okay. Thoughts about spending is neutral. You don't really care one way or another. It's kind of like I just spend it probably because I have to. Or it is what it is. Okay. You don't feel any way about it. You're not like I have so much money I can blow it. You're not like I gotta hold on tight to it. It's just neutral. You're just chilling. Okay. So that's the neutral spending zone. The next one that we have is scarcity spending. Okay. And there's so many people, especially now, when I tell you that we have Canadians spending $1.70 for every dollar that they make, we have all these different things where the scarcity spending, it makes life so difficult. In the chat, we say we have I hated Christmas, Valentine's Day, birthdays, but when I structured things, it was easier. Yes. Because if those times come up, and we're in a scarcity spending zone, it makes you hold on to that money tighter, and it can make it harder to actually give with that abundant mindset. Okay, so thoughts about spending may be scarce. It can be resistant. It can be negatively charged. You may feel bad about the price or bad about what you're paying for in general, like paying for rent. I hate I hate having to shell all that money every month. But it's like at least now it's more of an abundant zone in my mind instead of scarcity like it was a couple years back. Okay. Now this is an action that is taken from a negative feeling and thought. And if we continue with the idea that money operates like a lever that you want to attract, if you're going and dealing with money and you're scarce with it and you're holding on tight to it and you're suffocating it, it's gonna leave you. Okay? So scarce zone is not somewhere we want to be. And if you feel like you're in the scarce zone, that's totally okay. And we're gonna see how we can shift that for you. Okay. Now the next zone that we have is avoidance spending. And I'd say 80% of my students right now live in the avoidance spending zone. Now, it's tied to the scarcity zone, and the way that it actually works is people are spending in a way that they don't even recognize that they're spending. Okay, so in this generation, everyone has their phone. Okay, everyone has their phone that they're tapping at the counter to buy all their stuff, or they're tapping their card. They're not thinking about it. Okay, it's so funny. Anytime I ask my students about this, I say, hey, how many of y'all put your hands up nice and high if you're tapping your card and praying that it goes through? And it's crazy to see like almost all of them every time are like, yeah, that's me. Yeah, I tap and I just pray it'll work out. It's I find it hilarious. But this action is taken in a way to not feel something. It's to numb a feeling, okay? It's an action usually taken to distract yourself from the truth. And the truth is, you're probably not managing your money properly. The truth is, maybe you don't have as much wealth as you would like. The truth is all of these things and more. Okay. So that's the avoidance spending zone. And there's one more spending type and spending style that a lot of people don't even consider, the emotional spending. Okay. And you could be in any of these zones and end up slipping into emotional spending. Okay. This is when you go on a shopping spree. Okay, this is like maybe you just, I don't know, you're going through a breakup or you had a fight with someone or you're feeling really negatively charged. So you go on the shopping spree and you buy things you don't even want or need. You don't even care about it, right? How many of us have bought a pair of shoes thinking that we're gonna love it, but we actually hate it? We feel a little bit better later on. We're like, nah, these shoes are not it. Nah, this shirt's not it. Oh man, that food I bought just now, it's not it. I thought it would make me feel better, but it didn't. You know, people often engage in this type of spending because they want to take back control. They want to feel in control of their lives again, right? And shopping actually does provide a rush of dopamine, serotonin, and oxytocin. So you feel good in the moment. But based on how the market's currently going, a lot of us may not be in the position to be spending like that. And then you're gonna feel worse later on. You're like, I gotta pay my phone bill. I got no money for that. Or I gotta pay. I got now you spent money you didn't have to feel good, but now you're in a vicious cycle. Okay, so those are the spending types, and I'm curious to know what spending type do y'all's identify with the most? Are you abundant spending? Are you avoidant spending? Are you scarcity spending? Are you neutral? Or are you emotional? Feel free to throw that down in the chat real quick. Just let me know what kind of spending type do you see yourself leaning towards more. And down here we say I tap that things with ease because my accounts are structured separately. I got a card for tapping. When I'm tapped out, I reach my limit. Keep cash on hand for spending limits as planned, which is actually one of the things when in Money Mastery Dash, which we're going to talk about in a little bit, but in the Money Mastery Dash, I actually teach you how to structure your bank accounts in a way that you don't have to think about it. Okay, everything moves around, and I'll show you guys that breakdown in a second. I like to jump ahead or jump back and forth. Okay, Isaac says he's neutral spending. Okay, Rain, what would you say your spending type is? Do you feel like abundant? Do you feel neutral? Do you feel a scarcity, like you're holding on to money more? Do you feel avoidant, like you tap so you don't have to think about it? Or you feel like you do a little bit of emotional spending, like shopping so used to make you feel good? I want to know. Feel free to throw that down in the chat, everybody. then we're gonna hop into the next topic. Okay, okay. All right, we're gonna hop into the next section. So next section is socioeconomic status. Okay. Now, this is also just to see where you are right now. Okay, so we took a little bit of inventory. We said, hey, what's our family looking like? We said, hey, what have we done before? We say, hey, what do we do now? Okay, Jesse says emotional spending. Yep, I definitely hear that. And thank you for sharing. I really appreciate all the I appreciate y'all actually being interactive with this. It means a lot to me, you know. So socioeconomic status. Um, and I'm curious, does everyone know what socioeconomic status is? And anyone want to give a stab at what exactly this means? Socioeconomic status. It's like the class system. Yes, and you're right on the money. Okay, so socioeconomic status is the class system. Um, and it's a social standing or class of an individual or group. Okay, it's often measured as a combination of education, income, and occupation. Yeah, like upper middle class, lower class, and poverty. And I'm actually gonna explain to y'all exactly what each of those are considered. Okay, so we're gonna start with low income. Okay. And I remember for so long, I mean, I grew up in a lower income household. I mean, I have more than 11 siblings. Okay. I remember having like, and we have hand-me-downs. I remember like, I like, I'm not gonna get into all of that right now, but I grew up in a low income household. Okay. Now, when you're low income, you're making less than $20,000 per year. Okay. As an individual. And when you think about how much rent is right now, it kind of makes sense why so many people have to have roommates or other things set up to be able to live. Okay, $20,000 per year, you're not living in Toronto. You're barely living in the GTA. If you are, you will have to have roommates. Okay. Normally, folks that are working at McDonald's, at Tim Hortons, at a lot of these retail shops that are making $15 an hour, even if they're trying to do full-time hours, they're barely cracking the 20K mark. Okay. Now, when you're low income, you're probably need to rely on the government to have some of your basic needs met. Okay. This could be for schooling. This could be for housing. This is why we do have housing in the city to help offset the expenses because housing is so expensive, right? This could be food. This is where we have different food banks set up to make sure people have access to those resources. You may have less choice and autonomy with life decisions. And when I say that, that's like you may not be able to go and take classes or courses that you necessarily want to. You may like, I don't know, you want to go and learn how to play the piano. You may not be able to go and do that. Okay. Or you may not be able to provide that for your kids. Often folks that are in low income have more of a fear-based or scarcity mindset when it comes to money because things are so tight. Okay. Now, if you're a young person, you're in like 20K, it's kind of expected. A metric that was taught to me before is your income should be about 1,800 dollars times your age. So if you're $1,800, you're like 20 years old, you should be aiming to make like $36,000 to start. Okay. So that's like a rule of thumb. Aim for 1800, sorry, $1,800 times your age. Okay. That's something that was taught to me a little while ago, and it's actually really cool and really useful to measure yourself by. Okay, let's continue. Low income folks also may not have any disposable income. And I find it so funny that they call it disposable income. Um, when it's like income should never be disposed of, because that's saying money you can throw away essentially. But what it really means is some extra money at the end of the month that you can do stuff with, that you can maybe invest, maybe go on a little vacation, things like that. That's what disposable income really means. I think they need a better term for it, right? Instead of disposable income. But if you're low income, you probably don't have any disposable income. You might be just at the edge. Okay. People are getting squeezed into low income right now just because it's so expensive to live. Now, middle class, which is really interesting that it's considered 30,000 and 90,000 dollars per year when that is really like that's really no money anymore. Okay, like to have a one bedroom apartment in Toronto, you're spending 30,000, like give or take. Let me actually see what the number is right now, because on average in Toronto it's like 23,000 for a bedroom, one bedroom apartment times 12. Yeah, you're at like $27,600. So even the middle class, this is why couples get together and actually try to save money together. But at this point, you have your base financial needs met for the most part. Okay, you may have access to better educations or and different tools and resources. Okay, you may have the choice to plan and take family vacations, right? You may have the ability to save and invest. And you may have some disposable income after primary expenses are covered. So you just have some extra money left over, some extra money left over once your basic needs are all met. Okay. Now we have high income folks. Okay. Individuals making 100,000 or more per year that have disposable income after primary expenses are covered. Pretty much all the same stuff as the middle class, but just a lot more flexibility. And I don't have it on this slide, but there's actually a statistic that I have for what it means to be high income in Ontario. So we said all financial needs. Um, yeah, it's actually really cool that to be considered upper middle class, an individual must make 100 more than 100,000, but less than 236,000 because there's levels to this. But then to be considered a rich person in Ontario, you need to make upwards of $345,500. And in Toronto, you need to make $360,000 per year to be considered upper middle class, which is when I learned about that, I'm like, that is mind blowing. And it's a very small percentage of people that are making that much money on their own. Um, yeah, so that's a little bit about socioeconomic status. So we go over that because I want y'all to take into consideration. I want y'all to think about what socioeconomic status did you come from and which one are you in right now. Okay, we're still just building our roadmap to figure out where we want to go to. Right. So I know for me, I started out, I was low income, no money, no Lambo, broke. Like, and I'm somewhere in the middle class right now. And I have big aspirations. Hey, it's called Millionaires in the Making for a reason. We want to help you make your first million. And we're on this journey together. All right. So here are some things that to consider. And don't worry if it is like at any point, like, if you're writing notes, if you have questions, you want to go back on whatever, I'm going to be sending out some resources afterwards. So make sure you keep an eye on your email. There'll be some worksheets. There'll be replays you can check out to also go through this on your own as well. Okay. Or go through this with someone that you care about. So you all can do this together. But here's some questions to ask to really explore your relationship with money. Where do your money values come from? Like a lot of people don't even consider that. Okay, where do your money values come from? Does money make me feel confident or insecure? The next is, do I have a history of making good financial decisions? And if not, why? Am I hesitant to take action when there are issues regarding money? I know for me, for sure, in the past, and even not even that far in the past, if I'm stressed out about something with money, I will delay, and procrastinate forever. But why? Why is that? Right? Am I impulsive with money or do I have discipline to say no? Everyone that said they're emotional spenders, are you impulsive? Do you have the discipline to not be an emotional spender? Hmm? Do my children have good values with money, especially if they will inherit it from me? This is something for the parents. Okay, are you setting up your next generation to be wise with money? Are you setting up your heirs to be wise with money so they can not only have financial freedom, but so they can build the life that they want? And lastly, how do I talk about money? Do you talk about it negatively? Do you talk about it positively? Do you talk about it abundantly? What are some ways that you talk about money? Because the way you talk about things will either attract or push it away. Okay, I like to say money comes easily and frequently to me through multiple sources on a continuous basis that I get to keep, use, and spend to the benefit of all. I talk about money like it's my best friend. And for the longest time, people say, Ty, all you care about is money. Well, nah, that's not all I care about. But I care about it enough. Like I care about it enough that it wants to hang out with me and it wants to spend time with me and make my pockets fatter, you know? So those are some things. Now, on our roadmap, we had 3 easy steps, right? We did our past. We looked a bit about our present. And Paul said, now you need to look at where you're going to. Okay, that's a trifecta. Your past, present, and your future. And the more that you're able to do this, the reason why it's broken down like this is literally the same way we look at fitness or any goal. Where did I come from? Where am I now? And where am I going? Versus where do I want to go? So many folks don't take the time to actually sit down and think about where am I going versus where do I want to go? Because you're going in a direction one way or another. The question is it taking you where you want to be? And if not, you got to switch gears. You got to change up something so you could actually go in the direction that you want to go. Because we only have this one life, and you should be able to live your dream life while you're still alive. And there's a couple key things that we look at. Okay, the part of our 6 pillars, but a little bit different. I want you to think about in your dream life, and feel free to put these down in the chat. What are you doing for recreation? Do you play sports? Do you play video games? Do you go on adventures? What do you do for recreation? In your dream life, what would you do for your recreation, for your fun? In your dream life, how are you volunteering? How are you giving back to the world? How do you serve those around you? Uh, in your dream life, how do you take care of yourself? Are you making sure that you're exercising and eating well and you're getting your massages done and get a facial done, all that goodness? Like, what do you do to take care of yourself in your dream life? Right? We got beach volleyball down in the chat. That's what's up. I remember when I was running beach events and people would come out because I like to make money while I run my hobbies, and I was running something called Reach the Beach for all summer long during one of the lockdown years. And we ran volleyball, we ran water fights, we ran all these different things to really enjoy life and build the dream life while we're here, right? In your dream life, what kind of car do you drive? What kind of car are you driving in your dream life? What does it look like? And be specific. Because when you're specific with what you want, you will start to attract it. I know for me, there's 2 cars that I want. I want a Tesla Model S P90D, all black. Okay, specifically, I'm happy with the 2017 because that's full self-driving. I want to be lazy in the future, so my car drives for me. Right? I know exactly what I want. The other car is a Toyota 4Runner, also 2017, beautiful car, limited edition, 7 rows, all black. I want all black cars. Okay, what kind of car do you want to be specific? I want to know the make, the model, the year. Okay, I want to know the trim level. I want to know exactly how much you want to spend on that car. Okay, in your dream life. Okay, the next thing is like, okay, where are you living? And what I used to do with my students, I love doing this, whether I'm talking to them from the stage or talking in the classroom. What we say is, if you were to wake up, you open your eyes, what does your room look like? When you swing your legs out of bed, what is the floor like? Is it a hardwood floor? Is it carpet? When you open your blinds, are you looking at a floor to ceiling window with a beautiful view? What does that view look like if there is, right? Where are you living? What kind of house is it? How many bed? How many bath? What is your kitchen like? All right. What do you eat? What's in your fridge? What do the counters look like? Like literally, I want you to visualize your dream house. I want you to imagine you're going to the future and pulling it back here to be with you now. Okay, I want you to feel like you're already in that house. Because the more that you can have an emotional connection to it, the more you're going to be able to attract that into your life. The more you know your numbers, the more you know what you got to hit to make sure you attract that into your lives. Okay, how are you traveling? How are you exploring this beautiful planet that we have? What adventures are you going on? I want to know, and I want you to know. All right. Okay. We're shifting gears again. So that was a little bit about dream life. I'm going to talk to y'all about some of the keys to success. And within finance, we do look at financial health, financial goals, and investments and savings. Those are like 3 of the core things that we do anytime we look at finance. Okay. So here are the keys. We're gonna go to the keys to the dream real quick. Here's the keys to dreams, guys. Key number one, or at least I should say, sorry, I jumped ahead a bit. There's three things that most people fail at. Okay. And so these are the keys to make sure y'all don't fail. I want you to be rich. I want you to be rich. Because the more people that are rich, the more of us that are rich, the better our community is gonna be, and the better our lives are gonna be, realistically. Okay? It would suck to be wealthy by yourself. I don't know anyone that says I just want to be rich by myself and my friends. Good luck, guys. Okay, I want all of you to be rich. That's why I'm putting these together. So I've been teaching this for 4 years now. I want to see every single one of y'all that are watching this that's tapped in to be rich. All right. So here's the first key. I want you to establish a solid foundation. All right. Now, as we build this foundation, we already went over understanding your current financial status, your current financial habits, your current what is happening with your finances. We're going to take inventory. Okay. Now, there are 3 levels to financial mastery. And level 1, I want to know where you guys are on this. Okay. You don't have to say it here, but I want you to keep track of it for yourself. Stage 0 is financial dependent. This means you need someone else to survive, whether it's the government, whether it's family, whether it's you're relying on someone else to buy these things for you and take care of your expenses for you. Okay. Then we go to actual stage 1. Okay. This financial solvency. This means that you're not behind any of your payments. Okay. This means you're you're not necessarily your net cash flow is positive. Okay. So you have a little bit more money at the end of every month, just a little bit. Then we have stage 2, it's financial stability. Okay, this means you manage to save up emergency funds. Now, I'm really curious. I would love to, I want to make sure that everyone knows that the emergency fund is one of the most important things you can have. It will save you from becoming a financial failure. Okay, having some money put aside for a rainy day will change your life. Okay, number 3 is debt freedom. Okay, debt freedom is achieved when a person has paid off all their high interest debt except mortgage debt. Okay, mortgages, it's called mortgage. I don't know if y'all know this, but mortgage is a French word and it's mort and gauge, right? And so it's to engage until you're dead. That's what more means, right? It's a death engagement. They expect you to pay this stuff off for life. And hopefully everyone that joins the MITM club, well, y'all will learn a little bit more about mortgages and why it's not necessarily wise to pay them all off early, but we'll talk about that another day. Okay, Smart Money survey said 60 at age 65, this is what Canadians are looking like. 54% are dependent, 36% are still working, 5% are deceased, 4% are okay with like a million or more, and 1% are wealthy. Okay. Now the question ends up being, why is it that 90% of people fail when it comes to their finances? There's 3 core things that I'm looking for, and this is a question I want to get a response from you guys from. Um, why do you think 90% of people fail when it comes to their finances? And I'll wait. I'll wait to get a couple answers in the chat. We have lack of knowledge. Okay. Let's see. Let's see. Lack of knowledge. Anyone else want to give it a guess? Why is it that 90% of people fail when it comes to their finances? They don't know how to manage money. Big facts. A lot of people don't know how to manage their money. Okay. I take one more. Who else wants to give it a try? Let's see. Let's see if we can collectively figure out what the 3 main things are that people fail at when it comes to their finances. Yeah, they don't have the right resources and are afraid or refuse to talk about money. These are amazing. These are absolutely amazing. Okay, I want to say thank you guys for sharing. I'm gonna give y'all the answers. All right, I think that's fair, right? So the first one is there's no financial education. Like, so you're right. Okay, you're absolutely right. They don't have the knowledge. They don't have the education. And I'd say many people they don't know how to manage it. They don't have the right resources. They don't have the knowledge. Pretty much everyone said the right answer. Okay, there's no education. It's the first reason why so many people fail when it comes to their finances. Right. The next one is No game plan. Y'all's by even doing this course, even to start thinking about a roadmap from doing this webinar, you're already ahead of 90% of people. You're already starting to build your focus. Okay. So there's no game plan. People just are floating around, like I said earlier, no idea what's happening with their money, where it should be going, or what they should be doing with it. Right. And lastly, there's no coach. There's no coach. Just like in any aspect of our lives that we want to get better at something, we find a coach. Whether that's reading a book, that book is now your coach and mentor. Whether that's doing watching videos on YouTube, whether that's joining a mastermind group, whether that's actually finding someone in person to coach you, whether it's joining the Money Mastery Dash. So many people don't have coaches to actually take them from where they are to where they want to be. Like Paul for me was absolutely instrumental for my success. I had a coach, I had someone to guide me, right? And I want to make sure that every single one of you have that moving forward. Okay. If not me, then I'll put you in the right direction to have somebody. Okay. But I want you to start thinking these three things: educate, game plan, and coach, to make sure you're going in the right places. Okay. Let's talk about the other levels. There's some more levels to this. All right. Now, level two. Level two is once you've accumulated 1 year's worth of annual expenses. Okay, that means you could take a break for a year. You could tell your boss, hey, I'm taking a gap year, I'm good. All my expenses, I have money put aside for the year. Or if you ever lose your job, at least you know, hey, I have enough money for 1 year that I could relax looking for a new job. I don't have to be desperate and take whatever job comes to me. You can relax. Okay, so that's level two, stage four. Stage five is accumulating 5 years worth of expenses. All right. Once you have like 5 years, we're starting to look into something called FIRE. Okay, and y'all feel free to Google this or write this down. It's FIRE. Okay, not like the flames, although it's pretty lit. It's FIRE, financial independence, retire early. And what that means is that we're actually starting to build out. We are building out money in a way that we could take mini retirements. Okay, you could retire for 5 years and then go back to work later on if you so choose to. Okay, you have way more flexibility and freedom to do whatever it is that you want. Then stage six is accumulating 10 years worth of annual expenses. Right, a lot of folks don't even consider doing this for retirement. They just pray that their pension is enough to be able to retire. But you should be accumulating at least 10 years. You should be aiming to have 10 years worth of your expenses um, put aside. Now let's tap into level three. And this is where I want everyone here to be. Okay, this is why I say you guys are all already millionaires in the making. If you look at how much money is going through your hands, you'll see that $1 million is going to pass through your hands one way or another. The question is, how much of it do you keep? Now, when we look at level three, stage seven, we have financial security. Okay. Now, this is when you start to make a wealth machine. All a wealth machine is something I talked about it earlier with the richest man in Babylon. Your money is a slave for you, and its job is to make you more money. How? Well, you need to create a wealth machine, something that is going to make the money work. Whether that's putting it into investments, whether that's putting it into businesses, whether that's buying gold and holding on to it and slowly acquiring more, or like you want to have something that is actually providing you cash flow. And when you have it to a point that your cash flow is greater than your annual expenses, you've reached financial security. You no longer have to work ever again. A lot of folks end up saying, hey, once you reach your first million, you don't have to work anymore. I mean, it's probably different now. You should probably be aiming for like 2 million. But if most people are making like $30,000, let's say 30 to 90, split it in the middle, let's say $60,000 for the year. You have $1 million, you put into investment, 6%, you have $60,000 per year that you don't have to work for. Okay. Or if you have a business that's making you $60,000 per year, technically you have $1 million asset if you're able to just sit back and have $60,000 passively come in. Okay, there's two ways to become a millionaire. Okay, have 60,000 come in passively, or actually have $1 million sitting somewhere so you can build this wealth machine. Okay, when we look at stage eight, we're looking at Your wealth machine is able to provide a cash flow greater than your annual current expenses. So you have surplus. Okay. Stage 9 means you can buy two extravagant things per year. Maybe you're into cars. Maybe you're into big vacations and trips. I don't know what your big expense is going to be, but your cash flow gets to a point where you can actually um you can actually just buy things and not have to worry about it. You're actually in the abundant zone and you have a machine that keeps you in the abundant zone. And stage 10 means you can provide for your family, you can have other goals, and your money will not run out easily. That is where all of us are aiming to get to, stage 10. And it's going to be a journey. And I really do hope that I can walk with all of y'all's on this journey. Okay. Let's hop into the next slide real quick. Give me a second. Okay. Everything decided to switch up on me. Okay. So, quick recap. Level 1 is dependent for life. Level 2 is freedom from employer, FU money. Okay. And level 3 is FU money for life. You never have to work again if you don't want to. Okay. Now, I do want to know, well, I mean, a lot of us are probably in level 1 or level 2, but what level are you at now and what level do you want to get to? Okay. And specifically, I'd love to know what level would you like to get to and what's the timeline? Okay. So, um, you guys don't have to
Can
share
you
with me.
repeat the levels again?
So the levels are, and I put it back on the screen again. So level 1 is dependent for life. Okay. Whether you're financially dependent on someone, you're a little bit solvent. So that means you have just a little bit like you're not behind your payment. You're positively cash flowing now. Stage 2 is financial stability. Stage 3, debt freedom. But level 1 means you need a job for life type of thing. Level 2 means you have some freedom to say, I can take 1 year, 5 years, 10 years off work and not worry about it. I've put enough money aside or I've invested enough that I'm good. And level 3 is like, I never have to work again. In fact, I never have to work again, and my family doesn't have to work again if they don't want to. Okay? These are the 3 levels of wealth, if that helps, right? And I want you to
All right.
to to do a mental, either a mental note or drop down in the comment or whatever, and tell me what's the timeline you want to get to these levels and pick a specific stage. And the way that I'm actually a part of like one of my mastermind groups, what they say is, um, and I'll send this out to you guys as an additional tool, or maybe we go more in depth on this on the next webinar because we're already going a little bit over time. I'm gonna try and wrap it up. Um, but we actually calculate exactly how much everything costs down to the penny. So we actually go and look for the house we want to live in. We calculate how much that's going to be. We look for the cars we want. We calculate how much that's going to be. We go through every single step with a fine tooth comb and we come up with our final dream life number. And we have to work backwards from it and say, by this time, we will reach XYZ. And that's a whole separate process. We don't have time to go into that today, but that's something we do. Okay, let me give you key number 2 because this is all still just key number 1. Trying to pack in a lot of value in here, and I hope you guys are getting as much value as I'm trying to put in for you guys. All right, so optimize your spending and saving. Okay, you may notice. I'm actually gonna hop back for a second. You may notice that the levels are technically, um, they kind of just turn into your your emergency fund starts to turn into your FU money, starts to turn into your freedom for life money. So the first step is literally just build your emergency fund. Okay, it is technically an investment. It needs to be in a way that you can access it really quickly, like within, if you have an emergency, you need money within like 7 days. Okay, you have that emergency fund ready to go. But if you never need it, that emergency fund just keeps growing. And that's what turns into level 2, level 3, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. And there's strategies to do that. If you guys want, definitely either we can book a time one-on-one. I'll tap you into, I work with a company called Tiptoe Financial. I'll tap you guys in there and they'll actually help you make a plan step by step to get from level 1 to wherever you want to be. Okay. So I see down here, we say level 3 in 3 to 5 years, level 3 in 5 to 8 years. That's what's up. I love it. And the next webinar actually will do more of a workshop style where we can actually break it down together if you guys are interested in doing that. Okay. Just send me a personal message or drop it in the chat. Tell me that you want it. I'll build it for you. Okay. Key number two, optimizing spending and saving. Okay. So, rule one, pay yourself first. Okay. Be selfish. I like this is probably one of the only times someone's gonna tell you to be selfish. Pay yourself first before you pay anyone else. And don't listen to anyone else tells you, pay yourself first. Okay. Treat yourself like the first bill. Okay. As soon as you get paid, 10% of it belongs to you. Okay. And aim for 10%. And like that is absolutely paramount. Rule number two, make a budget. Make yourself a budget. And here is the MITM budget outline. Okay. So rule number one right here, pay yourself first. Okay. I tell folks do 1 to 20%. Okay. Why do I say 1 to 20%? I told one of my clients to do 10%. She's like, Ty, I'm too stretched thin. I can't do 10%. It's too much. Okay, fine, do 1%. You're making like $4,000 a month. What is 1% of 4,000? Let me see. Divided by 0.01. Uh, 4,000 divided by, is this the right math? Am I mathing right? Point one. Why does it show me everything wrong? It's like $40. Yeah, I think it's like $40. Yeah, $40. Put away $40 every month. You're not even gonna notice it. Okay? Put away $40 a month. Okay, cool. Okay, did you on month, 2 months, 3 months go by, did you notice it? No. Okay, put it up to 2%. Okay, put it up to 3%. Wow, Ty, all of a sudden I have this money in my account I never had before. Well, you treat yourself like a bill and it will keep growing, but I'm saying do 10% and watch that money grow and work for you. And we put it somewhere that'll make it compound for you on top of that and watch your money make money. When I was 16 and I did my first investment, I was doing $25 a month because at the time that's what you could do. Okay, that's the lowest you could do, $25 a month. And I made sure I found the money every month, and I watched it grow because I was paying myself first. And then I'm like, let me do $50 a month. That ends up being only $500 a year, and I watched it grow. Within 5 years, I had put in $5,000. 5 years. I put in $5,000, but my account was at 10. And I'm like, huh, that's pretty cool. I kept paying myself first, kept paying myself first. And I actually stopped. I stopped listening to what Paul told me to do. I stopped being disciplined. But the money still grew to $20,000. I was like, huh. I put in five. I watched it go up to 10. I put a little bit more, but I watched it go to 20. What would have happened if I continued paying myself more, paying myself first and paying myself more, right? And that's what, like the power of compounding. Some people don't realize it. It starts off really small. But to have $15,000 grow from me doing nothing, that's crazy. And I want more people to experience that. This is why I'm in love with passive and residual income now. I'm in love with investments that money just comes easily and frequently without me even thinking about it. Because I have to watch that happen. Okay. All right. Next thing, emergency fund. Now, the cool thing about the emergency fund is if you never have an emergency, this becomes your secondary investment account. And it should be somewhere like maybe you sign up for Neo Bank and you get a 4% return. And if you ever need the money, it's there for you for the emergency that's happening. And if you never need the money, cool, you're making some money on your money. Okay, instead of the banks that give you 0.01% or some other foolishness, you don't know this. Okay, fund money. I like to call this my living wealthy account. Okay, I get to be stupid with this money. So 5 to 10% of my income every single month, I blow on stupidness that I don't need. I do it on experiences, whether it's going out with friends, whether it's I want to host a bunch of people, I buy a bunch of drinks and throw a party at my crib, whatever I want. 5 to 10% of my money every month is allocated to being an idiot. Okay, it's, it's called your living wealthy account. And there was this story of this one guy that he was so hooked on saving so much money, he didn't buy himself a new suit in 20 years. He was a multi-millionaire. And he was so hooked on saving, 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 being a miser, being like Scrooge McDuck, that he never actually enjoyed his money. He thought, well, he was so conditioned because of what his family life was like, because he came from poverty, he came from all these different things, that when it actually time when he made it, he didn't spend any of it. So I want y'all to at least tap a little bit into that abundance lifestyle a little bit. Okay, don't be crazy with it, but 5 to 10% is not gonna hurt you. Okay, so living wealthy, your fun money, you're blow it on something stupid. I encourage you to do that as long as you're paying yourself first and as long as you have your emergency fund, right? Then the rest of it's your budget. You're living. You want to have set 50 to 70% of your money put aside to make sure you're living and you're living well. Okay? Just make sure your rent, your transportation, your food, your clothing, all those things for your core budget is your living. Okay? 50 to 70% of your income should be allocated to this. Okay. The next thing that we want to look at is boosting your income. So many people talk about just saving and scrimping or whatever, but like, how about we make more money? How about we actually have more money come into our hands? Whether that's getting and we talked a lot about this last time, but whether it's you need to get a raise or change your job because more people actually get more money from changing their jobs. Maybe it's getting a not necessarily a side hustle, but doing something like Turo or Airbnb. Like last year, I made $80,000 just off of Airbnb. Okay, just off Airbnb, which means I'm living for free and I got money coming in and I have other things that I'm working on, right? Turo, great. If you already have a car, cool. If you don't have a car, send me a DM. I'll teach you how to get into the Turo business from the low end and start making money. Okay, you could actually pretty much have a car for free if you structure on Turo right and have everything paid for and build up a Turo fleet. There's a website called Friend with A. So if you have any tools, cameras, whatever, you can rent out your equipment. There's the gig economy is so crazy. Money is floating around. Like I used to help old ladies in my neighborhood. Just, oh, you need to move something from here to there, but I charge $20 an hour for me to be here. And it's just something I do in my spare time to help folks, but I do charge for my time, right? There's so many ways to make money. There's so much money floating around. There's a conference coming up in about what is it, like 3 weeks. It's the multifamily home conference. There's gonna be hundreds, there's gonna be thousands of realtors coming to the city, right? If you're able to know how to find deals, you can go and find deals and just, hey, here's a deal on a platter. Give me, I want a 5%, 10% commission or whatever. You don't even have to be a realtor to do that. You just want to start being creative on how you can boost your income, right? My my neighbors put things out on the street and as I'm walking by, like they want to throw this stuff out. I just take a picture, I put it on Kijiji. And if someone hits me up to get it, I'm like, hey, meet me over here. Yeah, $50 for this couch or whatever the hell it is. I don't know, you know? There's ways to make money. Money is just floating around, okay? And if you're creative, you will have more money coming to you. I encourage you to find ways to boost your income. Okay. All right. Next, you want to manage your debt wisely. Okay. You only want to have debt that makes you more money. And when I say that, that is, for example, a house, a mortgage is debt that makes you more money if it is an investment property. Okay. You don't want to have a car that has you in debt unless you're strategically on tour, renting out and making you money. Or if you have a business that you're building and you have a little bit of debt to leverage to build the business. Manage your debt wisely. I'm gonna say it again, build your emergency fund. Okay. So many people, you may have heard this quote already. So many people are like 2 paychecks away from being homeless. I don't want anyone that's in any of these calls and any of these webinars to be in that position. Please, please build your emergency fund. All right. Also, aside from the emergency fund, insurance is absolutely massive. Okay. Insurance and critical illness are two things you want to make sure that you're tapping into. Beyond just having a pool of cash, wouldn't it be nice to have cash from someone else? Like that's more money than you're making to make sure you're good, right? These are things that we want to make sure we're doing. And then we're going to make a plan, right? That pretty much brings us to the end of today's webinar. And I do want to tell you guys a little bit about the Money Mastery Dash course. So this is the Money Mastery Dash webinar, but there's a course. It's a 5-day course. It's a very, very simple course. And all we do is we walk through the steps, a little bit of what we went through today, because I covered a lot today, but we go more in depth. We go way more in depth, and I'll share why exactly this exists. Okay, so when it comes to wealth, most people lack predictability and consistency. Okay, people don't actually know what they're doing with their money. That like the real reason why this whole thing exists is because I grew up in a poor area, not knowing how to deal with money, falling into all these money pits and all these money traps, right? And I wanted to make sure I helped other people avoid those traps. I wanted to help make sure that no one else fell into financial destitute like I was going through as a younger person. And I had to learn the hard way to get out of that. Now, I mean, life is pretty good now, okay? But I'd be way, way closer to my first million if I didn't fall into those traps. Okay. Thankfully I learned from them, but I want to make sure y'all don't fall into those same traps. So the reason why this exists is to make sure y'all are good. Is to make sure you have some accountability, you know where you want to go to, and you have a plan that's documented that makes sure you get to the steps you want to get to. All right. Now, the companies I mentioned, I work with a company called Tiptoe Financial, and their associates have helped people for over 14 years now. So it's a decade and a half, give or take. And yeah, now I guess it's a decade and a half. Or no, sorry, over a decade, helping people with their finances, with their wealth creation, with their strategies. Okay, that's why the Money Mastery Dash actually exists. It's to connect you with those folks. And in the interest of time, I do want to say thank you guys for being here. I know we're like an hour and a half now. I'm gonna kind of jump through this real quick. Some of it is about the money mindset. I want to make sure that every one of you has the money mindset that will actually help you attract more wealth, help you have more clarity on what you want to do, and actually make sure you get the results that you want to get. Okay, I want to make sure that all of you can be in an abundance zone, but also actually be abundant, not just be thinking abundantly, but living abundantly. Okay, because we want our communities to be more wealthy. Our community is lacking so much. We need more guidance. We need more connection. We need more community. We need more abundance instead of how many programs have to exist because of government handouts. Instead of our community just getting together and saying, "No, we put this money together. We did this." Yeah, we didn't have to wait for Big Daddy government to say, "Okay, we'll give you a little something, something." No, we want abundance in our lives, right? Okay, the next reason is because you want to have more freedom. You deserve to be free. You weren't born to be a slave. You weren't born to be a wage slave. That's a new slave. It's a wage slave. You weren't born for that. You were created and you were on this planet for such a bigger purpose. And I want to help you get to that point so that you can live authentically you. Okay? I want you to have more freedom because you deserve it. So the Money Mastery Dash course is to help you boost your income, build your savings, eliminate debt, invest your money, and master your cash. That is what it is. Okay. Once you have those main things in place, you will actually see that mastering your money is so much easier. It's so much simpler. It's a walk in the park at that point. All right. And here's what the course comes with. It's a 5-day course with lifetime access and lifetime replays. It actually blew my mind how many courses I've done that afterwards you're like, well, thanks for doing the course. Bye bye now. And I paid like $2,000 for a marketing course. And once it was done, they ripped it from under my feet and said, yep, that's it. Thanks. Good job. I hope you took notes. Bye. Or even going to college. I used the virtual college system to keep a bunch of my notes in their virtual workbooks, and once I graduated, they took all that away from me. All the money I spent in college gone. Okay, so this is not like that. You're gonna have lifetime access to replay as many times as you want, watch it as many times as you want, review it whenever you want, because I want to actually make sure you're successful. That is important to me. Okay. There's something called an expert financial analysis. This is a deep dive into your financial situation with a step-by-step strategy to get you to your goals. It's actually a document that's created based on everything that you're going through, everything you want to do. It's done for you. It's a done for you system. Okay. Then you're gonna get 3 one-on-one coaching calls, whether it's with myself or one of the associates that I work very closely with. You're gonna get 3 calls. And it's normally $150 for each of those calls, which ends up being $450. Okay, but don't worry about the pricing just yet. I'm just letting y'all know what the value is. All right. There's a savings challenge for those of you that actually want to save cash. Whether you want to save $1,000 for the year or whether you want to save $50,000 for the year, we have some saving challenges that will be there for you to make sure that you could actually save what you want and actually reach that goal. It's a whole breakdown just to make your life easy. You don't have to think about it. Once again, done for you. Okay. We have a weekly newsletter that is tapped into the top financial sources. Now, these are different resources that normally you have to pay to get. These are like Huffington Post, New York Times, et cetera, that you would have to pay for. My camera disappeared. Cool. You'd have to pay for in order to get access to, right? We have all that for you uh, attached to this. You don't have to worry about paying for any new subscriptions, right? We have the MITM Financial Secrets Collection. Now, this includes stuff like how to pay, how to boost your credit with your rent, okay? This includes things like, and I'm going to switch my camera over. Let's see, maybe I can get this to work. This is how to build your credit with rent. 10 steps to master your money. We have a couple other resources in there for you, all right? And so this whole thing is about 1670, which I'm not gonna, you guys aren't gonna worry about 1670 to get all that. But we're also doing more, okay? We're building out a community because so many times I found in the past that going at it alone does not work. Going at it alone will not work, okay? Going at it with a group of people that are on the same journey, that are on the same path, that are keeping each other accountable, that are keeping each other in the loop, making sure that everyone is speaking the same language, and that's what we're building. Okay. So within the MITM Club community, we're going to be having weekly meetups. We're going to be having um, a bunch of different resources for you to make sure that you're actually putting your best foot forward when it comes to your finances. Okay. This is where we actually go deeper to those 6 pillars. It also includes 50% off the Release the Beast Fitness program. So we partner with RTB Fitness to make sure anyone that wants to get fit, because it's a very important pillar, it's 50% off any program, and upgrade tickets to all the MITM Club events, okay, which is kind of priceless. So when we take over Lavelle, we take over Rebel, or we take over any of these things, because the fun aspect is extremely important to us. And we want you to feel like a millionaire even before you're there. That's attached to this. Okay, so that is normally $4,500 for the year. Now, when we put all of these things together, we're looking at $6,110 for the whole year to join and get all of these things. All right, but that's not what we're gonna do today. In fact, normally it's about 800. It's about $999 for everything here, but for the first 5 people that join the Money Mastery Dash, it's only going to be $59. Okay. And I think we only have 3 spots left at this rate for the Money Mastery Dash. We're going to be closing it to really focus on building with those 5 people. And then we'll open it back up later on and continue building this community. Okay. And that pretty much concludes today's webinar. I'm curious, does anyone have any questions, any comments, any concerns? Jesse says, sign me up. I'll send you the link just now. In fact, when you guys see the replay, you're gonna get a access to the link. But let me drop this in the I'm gonna drop this in the comments right now to make life a little easier. But does anyone have any questions, any comments, any concerns? I wanna know what your finance questions are because we got a little bit of time for Q&A. So feel free to unmic yourself and ask away.
Wait, so the Money Mastery Dash, that goes on continuously throughout the year, or how does that?
That's a great question. So the actual core Money Mastery Dash, it's only a 5-day program, right? And you can have it whenever, you can watch it whenever, right? You can go through it anytime. You'll have access to 3 training calls and all the benefits we have up here for you. But because I'm building a community and I want to make sure that I really want to build this community in a way that serves more people, I'm inviting anyone that joins the Money Mastery Dash to join the MITM Club membership for essentially for free. So I'm going to be building with those people on an ongoing basis where we're going to be talking everything money mindset. We're going to be talking about fitness. We're going to be talking about relationships and family. We're going to be exploring all 6 of the pillars on an ongoing basis for the year. And that is like literally after the end of this month. There's only 3 spots left for that because I only want 5 people to grow with right now for that. I mean, anyone could join the Dash itself, but the MITM Club membership is an ongoing thing. I hope that answers your question properly.
All right, I wanted to know again, what was the difference between the Money Mastery Dash and the MITM, the MITM Club?
Okay, so the Money Mastery Dash, this is the 5-day course, right? And the MITM Club is all the extra training, is the weekly coaching calls, is the events, is the fitness, is everything else.
All right.
So basically, the Money Mastery Dash is what gets you in order, like puts your finances and everything in place, but the MITM Club is everything else.
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And I just wanted to make sure that, yeah, anyone that joins the Money Mastery Dash gets access to the MITM Club for free. Eventually, that's going to be like a monthly membership type of thing. But I want to build with 5 people that actually want to go places. But let me put this let me get this link in the chat real quick. Everyone is going to receive an email afterwards with all the links. There's gonna be more resources coming out. Um, but yeah, that's where we're at for now.
So if you're only looking for 5 people,
hmm
after this, you're not doing any more webinars, or are you doing
We're gonna
webinars every month?
we're gonna have some more webinars. We're not gonna have access to the MITM Club membership though, but we're gonna have more
Mm-hmm.
webinars. So like I mentioned earlier, saying, hey, what do you guys want to talk about? What do you want to learn more about? What do you want to go deeper on? I'm gonna
Mm-hmm.
keep those going because I want to continue giving value to the community. I'm gonna keep doing these free webinars for the community, right? I
Mm-hmm.
think this is extremely important. I've been teaching this for 4 years. Eventually, we're gonna have some in-person webinars or seminars, I should say, and I'm going to be bringing in different specialists. I have a couple folks lined up. I got some mortgage brokers, I got some bankers, I got some folks in invest. Like there's a bunch of folks that are lined up that I've been talking with that I want to bring more value to people, right? So
Yeah.
these are going to continue to exist. Yeah, these webinars are going to keep on existing.
You should also mention that um the the meeting with BMO, like going into BMO and what they're planning to do, and they're also going to charge people for the same thing that you're doing right now.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I mean, there's this type of information that's being given to your audience right now. The banks are looking to do it also because they're realizing that financial literacy is very important because no one's really um, financially prepared when they leave school or leave, to start their career, and people are in debt for long periods of time. So the banks now are trying to teach financial literacy, but they're going to be charging like what Tyler's shown you. They're going to start be charging those prices. Um, Financial literacy is something that they're realizing is so important because although people are in their careers, you got people who are nurses and doctors and, dental hygienists, people who you think would be well off are still struggling day to day because they don't know how to handle their finances. So it's become something important that, people they're looking into right now to make sure people are financially prepared when they finish school. So this start for what Tyler's put together here and everything he's put together and structured is so it's good. It's a lot of good information and it's very helpful. It's best to get it now before the government starts getting to it and they start charging everybody a lot of money. So good job.
thank you. I appreciate that. And I'm about to put the link in the chat for everybody. But does anyone have any other questions or like even any feedback on today's session? Did you learn something? Did you already know everything? Like, I'd love to hear from y'all.
Just want to quickly say, Ty, I thought it was a really good session. I learned a lot. Um, I don't actually talk about money in my circle. And so I sort of grew up in a way where that is something that you actually don't speak about. And most people are just simply are not financially literate. So
Hmm.
some stuff I already knew. I've read a lot, but there's a lot more I need to know.
Mm.
So thank you
Thank
for this session.
You're welcome and thank you for sharing. I really do look forward, like I'm telling you, it's my mission. I want to help make as many people as financially savvy because it helps so much of us. Like, like how do we avoid these pitfalls? How do we actually um make our dreams a reality, right? And the first step is talking about it, is sharing with everyone to make sure we're good to go. So I'm glad that you're here. You're here for a reason, you know? I'm glad you're here. And I look forward to giving back even more value. Yeah, I did just put the link for the Money Mastery Dash for anyone that wants to sign up. I do have to say, and I'm gonna try and shift this. The way that these sites work, or the site that I built, it's shifted to USD and it won't let me change back. So it is 59, but it's USD. I just found that out. I'm trying to shift that. So I think it'll probably charge you like 80 bucks. Just want to make sure it's transparent as possible. But anyone that gets it, while I'm still trying to fix it, I'm gonna give you guys a t-shirt, give you some merch, just to give you back more value if you're signing up today, because I just found that out this afternoon. Okay, so just want to make sure it's transparent, so y'all don't think it's like, hey, you said 59, but it's more. It's something I figured out about this site that I gotta fix. Um, but yeah, is there anything else anyone else wanna share? Anything you learned today that stuck with you? I see. Yep, I agree. This is a very insightful class. Okay, that's what's up. It's been knowledgeable. I learned a lot today. Cool. Thanks for sharing. Okay, with that being said, because in the interest of time, I do want to say thank you guys for coming out. There's one last thing I want to do before we go. Okay, and I like to do this because I'm a big kid at heart, and I really think that adding these elements into sessions like this brings a little bit of fun into it, which we all can use a little bit of fun in our lives. So if I could just find what happened to my window, because it was just here and it closed on me. But I have I have a quick question that I want to ask everybody. Okay. So here's a question for a prize. Okay. Can anybody name all 5 of the books that Paul mentioned? Anybody name all 5 books? I need to get like some Jeopardy music.
I can only name 2.
Tell me, what are the 2 that you remember?
The Rich Dad Poor Dad and Think and Grow Rich.
That's what's up. And those are
Yeah.
like
I,
the
I can
2
name all
most.
5.
Okay, that's what's up. Tell me all 5.
The Magic of Big Thinking, or The Magic of Thinking Big,
There we go. Yeah,
Think and Grow Rich,
that's what's up.
uh, As a Man Thinketh,
Okay.
The Richest Man in Babylon,
Man of Babylon, yes, sir.
and Rich Dad Poor Dad.
Yes. And those are all 5 of the books. And I ask this question, not every time, but I ask this question because I'm telling you, these books were my foundation. Okay. And getting the mindset right, it changes the game for you. It changes the game for you. So I really encourage everyone to grab these books. If you can, you can find them for free online all over the place, whether it's audiobook format or whether it's in like free PDFs. You can get these books for free or get them at the library and just like, especially Think and Grow Rich. Like these 5 will be the strong foundation for everything else you do, even beyond finances. All right. Another question, another chance to win a prize. On average, how much does it cost to raise a child in Canada? And I'll accept the 18-year number and I'll accept the 1-year number.
So the 1 year number, isn't it like 300,000? Close to 300,000.
That's the closer to the 18-year number. Bye. You're close. You're close. But I'll give it to you.
400,000
Oh
or
no,
half a
you're
mil.
close. It was 330,000. So you're right there. So
Okay.
wonderful. That's what's up. It is 16,500 per year, or 300. Yeah, you know I was wrong. 320,000 from 0 to 18, right? And I thought I had another question, but I guess I don't. Those are the 2 questions. So both of y'all want a prize. Send me a DM with your shirt size. Y'all are gonna get some MITM t-shirts. And I guess with that being said, that brings us to the end of today's webinar. Make sure you keep an eye out on your email. I'm sending out more resources and I send out emails all the time. Okay, I send out a lot of emails. I know people don't necessarily live in their emails like some, but there's going to be lots of resources coming through emails. There's a podcast that I'm doing called the MITM Club Podcast where I'm dropping gems. So even if you're not necessarily able to come in the webinars, there's going to be lots of resources on the podcast. YouTube channel. We're putting out more content on YouTube. I just want to make sure that whatever method you learn best from, we have that content ready for you. Okay. We're going to build this team together. We're going to build this dream together. And congratulations on being a millionaire in the making. All right. You're on the journey, you're on the path. And I look forward to seeing all of you rich beyond compare. Okay. So thank you guys so much for coming out. And I hope you all have a great evening. I look forward to seeing you again soon.
Yes, thank you for
Thank
having
you.
us.
You're welcome.